Ladies and gentlemen, we've got 15, 20 minutes max left. This is the last panel discussion for the day, and our facilitator will be Mr. Dumisa Ngwenya, who's the Head of Research and Innovation at Syntech. And this panel discussion will be around how do we ensure that we have relevant skills required for the fourth industrial revolution. With that, may I please request Mr. Dumisa Ngwenya to join us on stage as he's about to introduce our panel members. This is only going to take 15, max 20 minutes. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. Okay, can we then ask Dr. Moshe Masonta to come and join us? He's the research group leader from Future Wireless Networks at CSIR. Thank you so much, Dr. Moshe. And if Professor Mahlanga is here, can you please come and join us as well on this panel discussion? Okay, no problem, that's fine. So, Dr. Dumisa, of course, you kick-started us with a lovely presentation earlier on. So I think I'll afford Dr. Moshe just to give us an introduction of what he does at CSIR and also what skills are truly required for the fourth industrial revolution. The green button, yes, right there.
Okay, thank you very much. I'm Moshe Masonta. I'm the research group leader within the group called Future Wireless Network at the CSIR. The unit is called Meraka Institute, which is actually focusing on ICT, R&D in ICT. Yes. So our work is looking at solutions for wireless communication and the communications of the future. Okay. So that's in short. So when we are talking about the fourth industrial revolution, we are talking about the fusion of physical, digital, and biological spheres. So the number of skills which are required there, they are more into, we can also talk about the jobs of the future.
Sure.
You know? So where some of the jobs are not even yet defined, they don't even yet exist, but the ones which are more important, we are talking about computing, software development, we are talking about creative thinking, we are talking about artificial intelligence, machine learning. So those are, in short, some of the skills which are required in order to ensure that there is inclusive participation on the fourth industrial revolution.
Okay. Dr. Ngwenya, just to answer this question, you touched on your presentation just the impact of the fourth industrial revolution and how we then migrated from the first industrial revolution. What skills do you think are required for us to survive, one, two, and to thrive in 4IR?
Well, I think the revolutions are brought by complexities that exist at any particular time. So the skills that are important is analytical thinking, critical thinking. That becomes important. And then at any given time, obviously there's context to which we apply the solutions that exist then. Currently, some of the solutions that Dr. Masonta highlighted are the solutions that exist in our context with the development that are around us, but also because of the problems that we currently have, problems talking to the way people want to receive information is different from the way it was in the past. In the environment we are working in, people are no longer satisfied by simply getting information without talking back. So people want to be able to talk back. People want to engage with information with whatever gadget they have. So that's why people watch TV on cell phones. They have voice communication on laptops, on computers. So that's the ability that we want to bring to people. But what happens then is that people also want to interact with technology while they are doing their job on day-to-day basis, whether in agriculture, whether it's in energy sector, whether it's cleaning. People want to be able to interact with technology as if they were also technological people.
Fantastic. Okay. Who of the SMMEs that are here today, or companies, or even service providers that have started looking into the fourth industrial revolution? Okay, please pick up your hands. Okay, so a few of you. Do you have questions this afternoon for this panel? Because I'm really interested to find out, how have you integrated 4IR at a small scale level in your organizations? I think perhaps we can start there. So I see you, young gentleman, you had your hand up, right? Did you have your hand up? Yes, I'm looking at you. You had your hand up. You don't seem sure. Are you sure? Okay. So you'll be the first. You'll be the second right here. Are you okay? And then can we have contributions from you? So let's start with you. How have you integrated your fourth industrial revolution into the systems or processes in your business? What does it mean to you? And what questions do you have for our panel members?
So my name is Mthokozisi Madonsela. I'm looking into going into the manufacturing of chemicals.
Okay.
I'm looking at manufacturing of chemicals for the different sectors that we have. So what I'm looking at is, how do I integrate all these technologies that we've learned about, all these different departments that we learned about into my company. So my question is, we have all these institutions here. We have the one that deals with internet, we have one that deals with technology, we have one that supports the manufacturing sector. If I am an SMME now, and I want to develop my business, and I want to go into the future, and I'm looking at the future of my business, and where do we go from here? How do I access these different entities at the same time? Because I feel as if the technology one is this side, the one that supports the real manufacturing is this side, and the internet one is this side. How do we make sure that even the incubation companies have access, or have the authority and the access to bring these entities together, so that as we develop the business, we develop it in the concept and the context of the fourth industrial revolution? Thank you.
Thank you very much. It's a very important question. Okay, I think we'll go with you, sir. Let's take all the contributions once, and then we will answer.
All right, thank you. My name is Temi Topper. I'm from Fleet Process Press International. Looking at in fourth industrial revolution, I think we have a lot of gap to cover. Africa and South Africa as case study. And that will bring me to the point of SME. I think we need to break that particular term into what are SMEs, small scale businesses. Any business that is making 500 to 1 million is no longer small scales. And that brings us to the rural areas. We're talking of AR, VR. How does it affect the people in township? How does it boost their businesses? Majority of these people, they don't have access to basic computer knowledge. But we're talking of fourth industrial revolution. There are a lot of gaps that need to be covered, and that brings us to our children. At what age are we exposing them to computer? How does computer affect their area of strength? Critically, youth nowadays, we don't think.
Sure.
We just want to go with the flow. And there's a quote I learned yesterday that when you go with the flow, you get flushed out. So what are we doing in that regard? For you to be involved in the fourth industrial revolution, you need analytical thinking, you need critical thinking. How does the people in the township? Because when you take the big city, Joburg, Pretoria, Cape Town, out of it, the remaining part of this country is disconnected from these four countries. So looking at fourth industrial revolution, how are we looking to bridge this gap?
Okay, thank you very much for that. I'm not sure if we had anybody here, but I think we'll go with you, ma'am.
I'm Dr. Bluchnet, and I'm a consultant, and I can agree with the previous speakers because I feel for them. if you want to stay abreast of the fourth industrial revolution, you really need a PhD in just about everything. And that is a problem. So I think the challenge is to break down whatever comes along, and it's moving at the speed of light, and to break it down into edible pieces that everyone can understand. And I think that will be the future of the fourth industrial revolution. Because if we dump the facts on everybody, it is just too much. And that is what people like myself do. I'm not doubting myself, please. But if you can get people to break it down, and what happens then is even the smallest companies can come and ask, listen, how can I be more productive? How can I be more efficient? Because eventually that's what it's about. And what I found is we must get away from this thing that we must work as cheaply as possible. To be part of the fourth industrial revolution, we must go to the absolute best there is at that time. So if you're advising a bakery, I'm sorry, I'm taking a little time. If you're advising a bakery, you don't go back to the fire. You go to a fully computerized oven that is very small. I saw one 2 weeks ago. It's extremely small, but it bakes in 1.5 minutes. And it is transferable, it's transportable. It can go from one place to another. So that is what I think, personally, what we should do, is to take what we can and take the best of that, make it applicable, and make people understand it in little small bites.
Sure.
But I would like to hear what the gentlemen say. Thank you.
That's actually very, very important, because I still ask myself, is South Africa or Africa even ready for the fourth industrial revolution? If we've been colonized by the first three, then the new one is neocolonialism, because we don't have the means of production, one, or control over it. So if we're talking e-commerce already, Alibaba, with a net asset value of $1.4 trillion, they can buy our economy. And now they're coming through to start e-commerce projects and say, no, we're looking for people who have products that we can sell. But guess what? We're not going to own that platform. They will own it, but it will still be our product. So it's still, the same cycle over and over again. I would say the same BS, just different toilet. Only the wise would get that. Are there any other contributions? Any other questions? Okay, can we take the last two? And then, the last three, and then the panel members will answer with their closing remarks. Is that okay? Perfect. Okay, so I'll start with you, sir, Mr. Mokhale.
Yes, thank you very much. My point is to do with the current state that the TVET sector finds itself in. Wherein, even from the minister's point of view and the deputy minister, TVET sector is a sector of choice, and is the one that attracts mostly the catchment area for employment. The industry will look at it. So my question or my concern, we'll see how best to phrase it, is to say how best do all role players assist the TVET sector to move from its current state. I may not even call it appalling state, but it needs to be assisted. Most students who are coming from the sector are not inclined nor even exposed to the fourth industrial revolution. The machinery in there, in the workshops, the lecturers themselves are not yet ready for this. Whatever, even the syllabus doesn't speak to this buzzword that we're talking about. We are trying from our side in the space we occupy, but the problem is from one end, it's more of like you've got a round object you want to fit onto a square hole. So it becomes a challenge. So there is a misfit there. So if we can find a way to assist that sector, I don't know how best, but we're trying from our side, maybe from another angle. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you so much, Mr. Mokhale.
Okay.
No, there was yes. There we go.
Okay, I think it's not working. Hope you can hear me.
We can hear you, sir.
My name is Dineo Rasikola from Whitehall Training Projects. We're talking about the fourth industrial revolution. I did a degree in IT, exact
Good question. Thank you very much for that. Okay, the last question. Okay.
Thank you, Chair. My name is Tommy Salem. I am from Johannesburg Water. Well, I see a challenge. 4ID is here to stay. But there are other challenges that comes with it. Unemployment is high. Illiteracy, semi-literacy is high. Technology, jobs are going to be shed because of new technologies. Example, being in the water industry, we employ thousands of people to read meters. But future meters might not be, need to be read physically. You can read it from electronically from a system within operational room with a computer or whatever the case may be. In other words, you don't need so many people. So if you have this high unemployment, you have people that are illiterate and semi-literate, you create more unemployment because machines and technology replaces people. What is the plan? Where will these people fit in? I only see then unemployment will rise unless there's a plan. We can talk the fourth industrial revolution. We will want to excel into it and be part of it, but the nation needs to survive.
Okay. Thank you very much for that, sir. So please answer the questions and integrate it with your closing remarks.
Okay. Maybe let me start by saying that the issue is not as daunting as it sounds. In fact, if 4IR technologies created a situation which is unattainable, then it's actually not achieving its objectives. The technologies are actually meant to make life even easier. Life from production aspect, but also from development aspect. I want to touch to the first, to talk to the first question around the domain versus ICT. How can we break down what we need to do? I think that's really the question. Let me just start by saying we all know that it's easy to get information. It's almost a given that, you know, if you want information, you can get it. Go to Google, you know. That's how we say it. But what we haven't got to accustomed to is that it's also easy to develop things. To give an example, people who probably lived in 1988, as one of the speakers was saying, it was so hard to create a simple program. But now you can create a simple program at your house, get into the cloud, follow the instructions, create a complicated program. Use whatever tools you want. So it's like just as it is easy to get information, it's also easy to get the tools and cheaper to get those tools. Of course, I'm saying cheaper within a certain context, but those who know the cost is actually quite cheaper than you would in the past. So the point is that let's link what we need to do with the knowledge. I'm actually emphasizing your point that we have to break it down into chunks. What do we need to do and what's next and what's next? So the technologies, the 4 industrial revolution technologies do allow us to link every aspect of the domain. And that's what we need to learn. And when we say critical thinking and creative thinking, it's as if we are talking about smart people. But actually we are saying these technologies allow everyone to participate to find a solution. And actually that's the paradigm. We should actually not look at the engineers and the technical people who find the solutions, because these technologies allow everyone to find these solutions. Now, as a closing remark, We spoke about the scarcity of skills, curriculum mismatch, and all of that. Well, that's a real problem, especially with us in Africa and in South Africa. Part of maybe what we didn't say as well, part of our engagement with CSR is some form of collaboration. The collaboration, while it focuses on research, part of it is human capacity development. So that's an attempt to find ways to increase the pool. And really, we're also looking at SMMEs to be part of that journey. But what is important, of course, I like the question that came about because they show that the people who are asking, the SMMEs that were asking questions, they know what they are doing, they know what they are about. I think that is important, and then we can collaborate. Most of the times, the difficulty is when you come to companies such as Centex, CSR, and other companies, but you know, it becomes more of a tell me what to do. But when you know what to do and you come to these companies, to our collaboration, then it becomes easy for us to work closely with you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. I think for me, I will also look at the question raised on rural communities. That is a reality, and of course, we are talking about a fourth industrial revolution. There was a third, which we are not sure whether did we participate in it for 100%, especially the people in the rural areas. But what is important, again, is to ensure that there is investment into infrastructure. Without infrastructure, especially the fibers, the communication, high-speed communication, 4G, 5G wireless communication, it will be another digital divide. We'll still leave those people in the rural outside, they won't be participating. But there is also another story which is a practical one. This morning I met a guy from Nelspruit, but Nelspruit is just a big city, in the rural area. He had an idea, but this guy is a graduate from social sciences. He had an idea in the telecommunication sector, and he contacted the CSIR. We gave him a slot for him to come and present. And this idea, when he presented to the engineers, we were surprised that we never thought of that. It's a good invention. And what can we do? Without him having the resources to do that, we are able to protect this idea, and he partnered with us to produce that solution, which will make a difference in the community. So that's where the creative thinking comes. So we are not saying like the gentleman who's coming from the manufacturing. The fourth industrial revolution doesn't say you have to now, by yourself, start implementing all these technologies. You have to collaborate. You have to partner with other people and ensure that you also get the benefit of that. On the issue of jobs, it's a reality. There's that fear of we'll lose jobs, right? But now, take away fourth industrial revolution, how many jobs are we creating? The reality is that jobs are being lost. So we have to now, using this fourth industrial revolution, what kind of new jobs can we create? Because we are not going to stand aside and say, this is going to take away jobs because maybe in the manufacturing, in the mining, and then we allow it to pass. So we have to now say, how do we ensure that we have a full participation in order to create the jobs of the future? So, and for me, in conclusion, is that we don't have to wait for a change. We have to be proactive, we have to reskill, we have to retrain, we have to think creatively on how can we ensure that even the kids from the early age, that they start participating, understanding this creative thinking. And you don't need a master's or a PhD in order to participate. Creative thinking, new ideas can come from a wealth of sources of information that we are now having from the internet. And thank you very much.
Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. Please give it up for our panel, Mr. Dumi Sangwenya and Dr. Mushe Masonta. Thank you very much, gentlemen.